Hello everyone and welcome to Getting to Know the HomeGauge Dashboard. My name is Bethany. I'm a member of our support team here at HomeGauge and I'll be taking you through everything today. If you'll look at your webinar toolbar, you'll have a section there for handouts. I've given you just a PDF with some helpful links that you might want to remember later or that might refer to something we're not necessarily going to talk about today, but you might still want info on. So check that out and get that handout. And we also have Susie here with us. She's going to answer any questions that you guys type into your questions panel as we're talking. We'll also stop along the way and have some question and answer periods just to make sure we get everybody taken care of. So that's just all the kind of the housekeeping end of things. So let's just get right into our webinar. In this particular webinar, we're going to be taking a look at a lot of the various features available to you within the HomeGauge dashboard. We are not going to be covering appointments today. That is a webinar all in itself. But if you refer to that handout, there are two webinars regarding appointments. One is about setup, the other is just using appointments. So you can choose which one you need to look at first. From there, I'm just going to take you straight into your inspector dashboard. So any of us that have been using HomeGauge before will recognize the dashboard. All your uploaded reports are here in the middle. You have a main menu that runs down the left-hand side if you've got your screen fully maximized, and then you have some other little buttons here over on the right. So I'm going to start you with those guys, and then we'll just kind of quickly go through some of the basics. So on the right, under Report Tools, you've got a Start Report. When you click on that, you actually get into a new appointment page. So that's just a fast way, especially if you're on a cell phone, something like that, to go straight into your new appointment page and plug in all that information and book your appointment. It's just kind of a quick link. You also have a way to just view the calendar. Here's this little calendar button over in the top right. You can see what you've uploaded in the past, how many reports are on your dashboard, things like that, just some basic statistics there. And here's a fun little one that some people don't know about. It's newer. Under Report View, everybody normally starts out with these expanded views where you can see every document you've uploaded. You can collapse those if you have a whole bunch going on, and then just open the ones you're interested in. So that can help you to see more on one page. Some guys prefer it. You also have a search function on the right-hand side. You'll see right off the bat you can search by address, city, or zip code without navigating anywhere else. Just type it right into the box, choose what you're looking for, and hit submit. Some of you will need to search maybe by last name, rep name, stuff like that. You can open up this more search options here on the right, and you'll have some more options for searching. So you can even just go by report ID. There's a date range in case you need that. So these are your report tools that are right on the face of the dashboard as soon as you log in. Some other things I'll show you real quick. For those of you that have multiple inspectors or are thinking about getting multiple inspectors, if you have more than one inspector on your team, you'll have a little drop down in the top right here of the All Reports view, and you can switch between your inspector dashboards. So I can look at my employee dashboard just like I can look at my own from the same place, in case anybody didn't know that. I'm going to run you through really quickly on some of just the report control functions that you have in your dashboard. A lot of you will be used to this, but there might be something that you haven't seen before, so I'm going to take you through it. Don't worry, we'll have plenty of question times throughout, so we'll definitely get everybody answered. If I go too fast, we can revisit all that good stuff. So first thing I'll show you is that you do not have to add an agreement or request a payment from appointments, or you can go back after the fact and add a new agreement or request more payment. So I'll show you that right here under your property address for your uploaded report. You have an add agreement link and also a request payment link. If you have already put an agreement in and requested payment, maybe they've already gone ahead and done those things for you, but now you're bringing it up and adding a new agreement. Maybe they added rate on when you got there, something like that. You can click these links just the same. Okay, so there's a little bit of a different look depending on what stage of the game you're in, but both totally doable. If you wanted to just add agreement straight from here, click that link. It'll take you right into a page that already has all of the report information in it. Really, you're just going to choose your agreement, right? if your customers aren't here, which they will be if you're going that way, you can add them, or you can add whole new customers if you want. Hit your next step. You'll have a page where you can preview the agreement you just chose, and then you create. So that's adding an agreement. You can even send a notification if you're adding a new agreement that says, hey, come sign this new agreement. I know you just did it once before. So there's your agreement. To request payment from here, just click your request payment link, right? Put in your amount due and your description. You've got a little button here for request payment. The other one says create invoice only. The difference between these two is that your request payment is going to send an email. Create invoice only doesn't send an email. You can also require the payment to view the documents. Got a fun little checkbox right there. You can do the exact same thing if you've already taken payment. If they're buying ancillary services from you once you're on site and they've already paid you, you just click the amount due or the amount that was paid. You'll get into a new screen, right? You've got a lot of options. You can edit the appointment, send emails, go back to documents. You can see the payment information we already have. Or you can hit new invoice, which is what you do if they're getting ancillary services on site. Again, put in your amount due, description. You can choose to require the payment before documents can be viewed or not. And then if you want to send an email, request payment. If you just want to add that to the total, create invoice only. And then you can see both of them, right? So that's an option for you. Some other things that are just right out here on the face. If you have had an agreement signed, when you click the link, you'll see who signed the agreement. You'll have a printable version up top, right? You can send a new email if they haven't already signed. You maybe need to remind them. You can do that. You can even edit your appointment, add more stuff, just so you've seen that. We've seen the payment page. Some things I'll point out. You can manage time release messaging straight from the face of your dashboard, right where your uploaded report lives. So if I click Manage TRM, I'll see all of the time release messages that I could possibly send out, and I can schedule them right from here. You guys probably already know, if you've been using time release messaging, that when you send that initial email that says, hey, your inspection report's ready, come on and log in, you also set up your time release messages so that they go out a certain period of time after that date at the same time. So if you needed to come back in and change anything or add anything, this is how you would do that. Some other things that you may or may not have noticed. You have several tabs here above every document name that you've uploaded. So your overview tab is what you're normally seeing. It shows you your customer and real estate pro information. You can see if you've given viewing permissions or sent anything. You've got a little history link here. Let me give you one that we've done something with. So you can see when you sent notifications, once your customer and your realtor log in, you'll see when they got in to view the report. Every single time we record that with the date and time stamp. So that's a fun little thing. If you ever needed to update an email address for a customer or a real estate agent, you could come straight here, click on the username for the one that you want to change. So here's my customer name, and their username's right out beside it. You'll get to a whole new page where you can edit the email address. You can just change that and hit update and change your customer or your real estate representative's email address. The only time you might run into trouble there is if maybe they've got two accounts floating around, at which point give us a call and we'll help you through. But definitely good to know how to do that. You also have some other tabs in here I'm going to take you through real quick. Your Manage tab will open up a little menu. So here's our history link one more time. So there's two different ways to get to it. You can rename your documents through the Manage tab. So maybe this is a special type of report. You can change the title of the document. And it'll change the title for your customer. So the next time your customer logs in, they'll see the name you gave it instead of just that generic inspection report. A lot of folks like to use this for like wind mitigations, radon reports, mold reports, anything really that you need to be a little more detailed with, right? Also under your Manage tab, you'll notice you can relocate. That means if I have uploaded two documents that I really want to have living together, but they're sitting in separate folders, right? So I've got one here and one here. I can choose to relocate, and I can move one document to live with the other one. So I can move it in, okay? Also under the Manage tab, you can delete documents from here. If you've maybe uploaded multiple times or you had an error in your report and you need to pull it down and put up a new one with the change, delete is under your Manage tab. You can also download a report that has been uploaded in HTML and is a full inspection report. You can download those into your HomeGauge software. So if you have a computer crash and maybe you didn't have any backups or things like that, and you've got an order for reinspection, you can always come in here, download that report, and create the reinspection just like you would if it had never crashed. So that's a very handy thing to know about. Another one that is definitely one of my favorites is the manual upload. If you go to manual upload from your Manage tab, you will be able to upload a PDF document from any source. It doesn't have to come from HomeGauge. So maybe if you're farming out your sewer scope or your radon reports or whatever it might be, and you want all of those reports to live in one place for your customer, if you go to manual upload, which was under Manage, if you'll remember, you'll get to this little page here that'll ask for some information. You'll find that all of your usernames are already filled out because you did it right there from that report. Your address as well. You would just choose your file. Give it a document name. Oh, let's give it just a moment. There it goes. So then we give it a document name so you can decide what it is, right? And then it'll live with your report right in that dashboard. So when your customer logs in to get their inspection report, they can also get that sewer scope that somebody else did for you that you're including. They see it all in one place, which is a lot less confusing for customers and home inspectors alike. So now that I've done that, you'll see a new document here. Here we go. So that's your manual upload. There's another way to do that if you do not have a report already on the dashboard. So there's not already an inspection report for this customer. You can go to other PDF uploads here under your My Reports in the main menu, and it'll let you go ahead and do the same thing. The difference is it won't have your customer usernames, things like that, because it doesn't have that information yet. So that's the easiest way under the Manage tab. You also have a Viewing tab. A lot of what you can do under the Viewing tab is duplicated kind of on the face of your dashboard. So you can send your notification emails from here. You also send those emails right here underneath the property address. We make it pretty easy to get to those. You can manage your time release messaging, which I just showed you that link. You can send a third-party email. That's good to know if you don't already. When you send a third-party email, the person you're sending it to does not have a username. They're just getting an email with a link and a password, and you are the one that determines the password. So you can type in whatever you want here. And you just put in their email address. So once you get that in, send your email. If you ever get to a point where you need to remove third-party viewing, you need to take away that access, you can always just change the password. The thing to remember is everyone that you've sent a third-party email to has the same password. You're the one picking the password, right? So if you wanted to change it, you're changing it for everyone. If you've sent it third party, you're not changing it for your customer or your real estate agent that already has a username, but you are changing it for all of the other third party forwards that you've done. you and your customer and your real estate agent if you're giving them forwarding permission. This is how you change that password, take away the permission. So maybe you sent that report to someone and later you regretted it for some reason. That's how you take it away. Just change your password. So that's good to know. Also, under the viewing menu, you can make a report public. So I'll show you that in a sample report. The reason I'm going to show you that in a sample report is because I really don't want you guys to ever make a report public unless you're putting a sample report on your website. Maybe you're doing a seller's inspection and you've gotten an agreement from them ahead of time to make that public because they want to list it with their listing, right? Something like that. That would be acceptable. But if you are just doing a regular home inspection for a buyer, please consider, at least for a little bit, the consequences of that it might be if you make something public. No, you don't have to worry about usernames and passwords, but if your report is public, then it's indexable by search engines, which means that anybody that knows that address or that has any information at all can find it. Once they find it, then you're not protecting your clients. You're putting the sellers at risk because you've got pictures of their home, right out on the internet. You're putting the buyers at risk a bit as well, just because they might be moving in there, so just be aware of that. You really only want to make a report public if you have a good, clear need. So a sample report, maybe a listing inspection, something like that. But to make public, you just click Make Public under Viewing. It'll give you a link. This is going to be the public link for the report. You can email that to somebody. You can put it on your website. You do what you want with it. And then you just have to hit yes to confirm. Once you've done that, that report is public now. So this sample report is now something I can put on my website so that customers can see what a sample report from me might look like. Okay? So what else do we have here in Viewing? Also in Viewing, you'll notice once you've made something public, you can go back to private, which is great. You can also edit your viewing permissions here under Viewing. You guys that have been using us, or even the new guys that have ever sent out a report, know that when you hit send emails under a property address, you can choose viewing and forwarding permissions right there before you send the email, which is great. But if you ever need to remove permissions or grant further permissions, you don't want to send the email again, under your Viewing tab, Edit Permissions will take you to that same area so that you can decide who has access to that report. Okay? And then the last link here is just View Document. You already have that link right under the title of the uploaded document. So that's just some of the stuff that's just right out on the face of your dashboard. I'm going to pause briefly and see if we have any questions before I take you into the kind of some of the main menu areas so that we can look at some of the options there. So we did have one question come in. How would you mark an agreement as signed if they maybe signed it in person on a piece of paper, something like that, and you've already requested the signature? If you have requested an agreement signature electronically, but you already have the signature elsewhere, you would want to come into your dashboard, click the link that will say agreement not signed. It'll always say that if that's the scenario. When you get in here, you'll notice there's a button on the right-hand side that just says change to agreed. Just click that. It'll say, are you sure? Yep, I'm sure. And then it's agreed. If you do this by mistake, you'll need to insert another agreement, so you can just add a new agreement. really right from here. If you edit the appointment, you can pick a new one, or you can hit the button down at the bottom that says Add New Agreements. Either way, if you did it by mistake, you'd want to add a new one. That one's officially assigned at that point. So there's the answer to that question. Just one more brief pause, and then we're going to pick up under the My Reports menu. Okay, doesn't look like we have any more questions right now, so let's just kind of keep going. Under your My Reports menu, which runs down the left-hand side of your screen when you're fully maximized, or if you're on maybe a smaller computer screen, it'll be a little bit different. You'll have just 3 little lines on the top right, and you can click it to get to your main menu. So it's up to what size your screen is at that point. But under the My Reports menu, you have several options. All reports, obviously, is just your main page. It shows you all of your reports just like it normally would when you first sign in. It's good to know that's there so that you know how to get back to things if you start getting into the other menus and maybe get a little lost. So just be aware that that's how you get back. It's also a good fast way to refresh your screen if you just uploaded something and you've had the dashboard open the whole time. So also an option. Okay, so under that we have agreement status. That's kind of a newer addition to our dashboard. This is just a place you can go to quickly get an idea of all of your agreements for the past 15 days. It'll show all agreements for the past 15 days. It will show anything that hasn't already been agreed to up to the past 30 days. So if you're working in an office environment, or even if you're just a one-man band and you want to quickly get an idea of what you have floating around out there that hasn't been dealt with, come to the agreement status page. You'll be able to take a look from there. You can also tell if it's been agreed. You'll get a little checkbox. If it hasn't, you'll have a little red X, right? You can view the documents themselves just by hitting view. It'll take you to that agreement details page. So it's just a good way to get a quick look at what's going on. We don't have a lot of time in our lives to stare at paperwork, so this makes it a little bit easier. You have the same kind of idea going on with the link right underneath that says payment status. Payment status is going to show you any invoices for a date range. So you can set your own date range. A lot of times with payment, you don't want to just look at the past 30 days. You have a specific idea in mind. So it normally defaults to the past 30. You can always change that. Look at the last 7 or the last year. You can set a custom range. That's up to you. Again, though, if something hasn't been paid, you're going to have a little red X. If it has been paid, you'll have a little green check mark. If you click the address, it will take you to the payment information page where you can create a new invoice, take a payment, send an email, all kinds of fun stuff. Again, just a really fast way to get a good overall look at what's happening for you with payment status. Same for agreement status. So those are newer additions, so some of you might not know about it. Obviously, if you guys are not using the appointments feature or you're not requesting payment through the dashboard or getting your signatures through the dashboard, this will be less helpful for you. So remember that when you're looking at all this stuff. But hopefully you're all on appointments. If you're not, I encourage you to check out those links that I put on that handout. Very, very easy way to control everything in one spot. So we also have in this list TRM. TRM stands for time release messaging. Time release messaging is just a really good, easy way to market to your clients and maintain that contact without having to think about it too much. When you send out your report notification emails, the next screen will ask you to schedule your time release messaging if you have it set up. Once you schedule it, everything happens automatically for you. So if I'm sending out a thank you customer, thank you for your business, or please rate me, or hey, how you doing? You want that to go out a certain period of time after you've done the report. So I believe I've got thank you customer set up for every day, a day after, or something like that. You can manage your templates. For those of you that don't have anything going on with time release messaging yet, you're going to have a fun little video down at the bottom that'll give you more detail. But for those of you that have used it or have played with it before, you want to click Manage Your Templates. You'll see all of the templates that you currently have available to you at the top. We give you several boilerplate templates down below. If you wanted to turn one of those on, you just maybe click on it. You can modify some things in here, so you can change how long you're going to wait before the email goes out. You can change the subject. You can change the text inside. You've got several merge fields down below that you can input into that text to have it pull information from other areas of your dashboard. So you would take a look at those, see what you like. You can start from scratch if you want. Once you're done, just hit Add Template at the very bottom, and it'll save it for you. I already have this one, so it's telling me that. There it goes. If you want to just modify what you already have, you have an edit link next to each one at the top there. You can also show what it would look like just from the edit screen. Maybe you don't necessarily need to edit it yet. Or you can make a copy. So if you wanted to copy the text from one, modify it slightly, and give it a new purpose, you could. All options within the time release messaging area. You can also search for your events to see what you've sent out during certain dates. So this is the stuff that went out for me within those 2 days. You can also search by address, person, or even the template itself. If you want to see how many times you've thanked your customers, you can look and see. You guys will obviously have longer lists than I will if you're doing it this way, but we try to give you as many options as we can to control everything. Everybody has a different way of doing things, so we want to make sure you guys have all the options you have. Some other things that I'll show you quickly before we stop for a question and answer period. You have a cloud transfers link on the left-hand main menu there. Several things you can do in here. If you are a multi-inspector firm, this is going to be a pretty important link for you. If you're a one-man band, you probably won't visit it as often. But I will point out, you can switch between inspectors here at the top right. This area at the top shows you what's in your inspector's cloud. So if you want to see what's in your cloud, what's in your employee's cloud, or maybe pull the stuff from your cloud into a different one, you can do that. If I wanted to put this report into my employee's cloud, I would check it off. I would copy selected report transfers. You'll have a drop down here listing all of your employees. So if you have more than just one or two, you'll see a bigger list. Then hit copy reports. Once you do that, it's going to move that report into your employee's cloud, or vice versa, whatever you're doing there. And then your employee will be able to just simply download that report from their cloud instead of having to maybe have your login information, or you have to log in as them. That stuff can get confusing. We give you one place where you can kind of handle everything all in one go, which is nice. Down in the middle of the page, you'll see that you have a templates and settings area. This will give you the latest uploaded template date and time, right, and the size, just so you know if you've got a template you just sent up today and you're not seeing the right date here, make sure you were logged in under yourself, stuff like that. But this lets you just transfer your template to everyone in your team. So you can hit copy templates and settings to all inspectors, and your entire team gets the template at once, or you can transfer just specifically to a certain employee. You have both options. At the very bottom, as your backup information, for those of you that have not been backing up your HomeGauge user settings, please start. If you're looking at this with me and you're seeing, that you backed up a year ago, something like that, let me just encourage you to go into your software. You're going to go down under the HD Services menu, and then you're going to just choose Backup HD User Settings. So just to show you where that is, here's the software, HD Services, Backup HD User Settings. What this does is it takes a copy of all of your templates, your logos, your agreements, contacts, everything but your reports, and it puts it into a special place reserved just for you on our cloud. That way, if you have a computer go down and you didn't have a backup computer that was set up and ready to roll, when you get to a computer, you can load the HomeGauge trial, restore your settings, and go back to work. The process takes about 5 minutes, as opposed to having to call me and saying, hey, I lost everything, and then we have to try to find it. It can be a little bit more involved that way. So if you'll take advantage of that backup, if you have services with us, that's something that's included. You don't pay anything extra for it. It could save you from having a really bad day at some point in the future. So there's my little talk on doing a backup. I'm going to just pause really quickly. If we had any questions come up about what we've talked about so far in the My Reports area, maybe you have a time release messaging question, something like that, we'll get that covered, and then we'll move on and look at some of the other areas in your dashboard. So we'll pause for just a moment. Okay, folks, doesn't look like we had any questions that needed to be kind of brought out for the whole group this time, so we're just going to keep on trucking. The next thing we're going to look at, I'll stop really quickly at appointments. I don't want to get into appointments in this webinar. It is a webinar all its own. But if you don't know about appointments, just so you can know a little bit about it, appointments is a feature within your dashboard that is included with your services. You're not paying anything extra for it, that will let you schedule an appointment, send a pre-inspection agreement for a signature, and request payment all in one go. It also sends your appointment reminder notifications, and you can download those appointments into your software and it'll start the report for you. So it prevents a lot of double typing, keeps everything all in one house, kind of keeps you from being confused, right? This fun little feature also syncs with your Google Calendar. So if you're interested in having Google Calendar sharing, that's this little link here about the midway point of that sub-appointments menu. Lots of fun things with this. You can have a public appointment request widget on your website so that you can have people come and fill in their information for you. All kinds of good stuff. So I'm not going to spend time in appointments, but I do want you guys to know that it's here, that it's awesome, and that you should definitely check out the webinar links that I put in your handout if you're not familiar. Appointments is a great little feature. So that's all I'll say about that for now. You'll notice at the very bottom of the submenu, though, you do have a video tour. So if anybody hasn't ever seen it before, that's a fun little place to look that you're already at, right? The next thing I'm going to move into, though, is Business Insights. Business Insights is a newer feature to your dashboard. It's continually changing and growing. You're going to see more and more reporting options here as time goes on. Right now, assuming that you're requesting payment and requesting agreement signatures via your dashboard, you'll have some information already that you can get to. So you can run a report on your revenue per month, your revenue per service. It'll show you a lot of things. Obviously, this is just kind of a test account, but normally you'll see all of your appointments, your employees, excuse me, all of your different services. It'll give you a good little rundown on the month, right? You can change your date range up top. And I'll give you kind of a little more information, right? You can also run reports by inspections. So if you wanted to know how many appointments per month is this one inspector doing, you can do that. You can check out how many appointments you've given that inspector this month. Maybe you just want to know how many appointments per month you've done. Works the same way for a single inspector. So you'll see that, and that's great. And it's got a fun little date range as well here. So you can just kind of change things based on what you want to look at. You can also look at lead sources. Maybe you want to find out which of your real estate agents has been sending you the most business this year before you send out your Christmas cards. Maybe some of them need a fruit basket instead, right? You can check out who you're getting that business from your lead sources. You can look at distance traveled per month, assuming you're keeping up with your mileage inside your appointments feature. You can take a look at that and run those reports. You can even do it for the year, which is nice when tax time comes around, right? You can run reports by real estate representative or customer. Right now, all you have in here is most used real estate professionals. Again, good for Christmas, right? You'll see more things added here as time goes on. This is definitely a developing feature. So we're really excited about it, and you're going to see lots of really cool reports coming to you soon. There's even a little report where you can check out who's using the Create Repair Request List feature, which if you guys aren't familiar with the Create Request, oh Lord, tongue-tied. If you aren't familiar with the Create Repair Request List feature, just so that you know what it is, this isn't really something that you guys would ever have to deal with. It's something that's a feature for your real estate agents and your customers. They can collaborate together once they get your report to decide what they're going to ask for from the seller, what they're going to include in their repair request addendum, right? So before we created this feature, a lot of realtors were just using Word and doing a lot of copy and paste from the report and kind of Frankensteining something together. Now we give them this really smooth, easy process that they only get through you, right? That will help them prepare kind of a PDF list that they can attach to that repair request addendum. And the customer has access just like the realtor, so they can collaborate. Kind of helps them to communicate and makes their life easier. Anything that makes their life easier makes yours easier. So if you guys are ever curious about who's using it, or if it's something your realtors are really appreciating, you can come to your CRL usage insight report, right? Set date range if you want, and generate the report, and it'll tell you who's actually created one. We don't actually let you guys see the lists that they create. We do not want you to be involved in those final negotiations with the seller, so we keep you away from that. It's just a nice feature that we've given to your customers and your real estate agents to make their lives easier, which makes them like you more. That's why we did that. So CRL usage, that's your business insights. Some other things that I'll kind of touch on before we stop for another question and answer period. I want to go into the contacts list. That's pretty straightforward. If you go into your contacts list, you'll have some search options. You can choose to sort by multiple things. You can type a last name in here, whatever you want. You'll have all of your real estate pros in one list, all your customers in another. You can click the links to get there, or you can use the tabs. Same thing either way. You'll be able to view that particular real estate agent or customer's information, which means you can update email addresses from here. Maybe you had a real estate agent that has changed their email address since the last time they used you. Go to contacts, update it right there. That way it'll be right. You can look at any reports that you've uploaded and given permissions for them. So I have 10 for this particular realtor, which also happens to be me since I'm demoing, right? And you can also remove from network. Let me just tell you guys real quickly, if it's not a real person, you've made a test, or you've had a falling out with someone and you are never talking ever again, and you never want to see their name again, that is the only time you should hit remove from network. If they're not real people, then yeah, you don't need them there. If you're absolutely never dealing with them again and you don't even want to be reminded that you ever did, you can remove them from your network. You cannot re-add folks to your network after you physically remove them. So that's why I give you that kind of cautionary statement. You definitely want to be able to see everybody that you've doing reports for. Don't ever remove anyone unless you really, really, really mean to. Okay. Same for customers. You get all the same information. You can see a username. You can see an email address. Here's phone numbers if you're recording that stuff, right? So it's up to you how you go in to look at this, clicking links or using tabs. Like I said, same thing either way. Another fun little thing about contacts is at the very bottom of your list, you'll find a way to export agents for versions 4 and 5. There's also one of those under customers, right? You can choose what year you want to export for. When you hit submit, it's going to give you a CSV file, which is a file that'll work in a program like Excel, a spreadsheet program. If you guys are ever interested in using the mass email programs like Constant Contacts, MailChimp, stuff like that to send out like a monthly newsletter, coming into Contacts and grabbing that CSV file will make your life easier. That is what they're going to ask for to import your contacts. So that you guys know where that is. Another thing under contacts that maybe you don't expect is that your ratings are located here. So when I go to my ratings link, you'll see that you can toggle your ratings on or off. That means that if you have them on, your customers and your real estate agents will have the opportunity to provide a rating when they get their report for you. That can be in writing. It can just be numerical. It's up to you. You can see everything that's written down below. I had one of my coworkers go in and give me a rating just so I'd have something to show you guys. If you ever get a rating that you don't like or you don't feel is fair or you just don't want to display for whatever reason, you can exclude individual ratings. So you've got a little button right here and that'll exclude. You can re-include it later if you change your mind. You also have some code in the top right here for a widget for your website. If you wanted to display your ratings for your customers, you could do that. Your code is right down below. For those of you that are going through HomeGauge to have your website built, you don't really have to worry about where this stuff is. We're going to take care of all of that for you. But for anybody that's doing it on their own, it's good to know where that lives. So that's under contacts ratings. Okay, I'll go ahead and turn off my rating now since I really shouldn't be out there pretending to be a home inspector, right? So that's your contacts panel. I'm going to hit the More Tools menu before we stop for questions. So let's just run through these really quickly. Some of you will be familiar with these, some of you will not. As I said, there's links in that handout that might be helpful for you too. The first link you'll see is Order Radon Kits. HomeGauge partners with a company called AirCheck, which is a national provider for radon test kits, the little charcoal kits that you hang and then mail into the lab. If you purchase your AirCheck radon kits through HomeGauge, through this link right here, we've got a little button up at the top, right? Then we can actually load that for you into, or they can load it for you into your HomeGauge software. Under miscellaneous, you'll have a radon tests tab. All of your kit numbers will come in here. So when you hang those kits, you can just pick your kit numbers out, your start time, where you're testing at, and upload to AirCheck. That goes straight to their lab. That means that they already know where it belongs. Once they get the kits, they can take the results report and load it directly to your HomeGauge dashboard. So it just kind of takes a lot of the footwork out for you. Makes life a little bit easier. So that's definitely an option. There's a link in that handout that I gave you. If you're interested in learning more about AirCheck, there's lots and lots of information on this page. There's also a link in the handout. So, and you're welcome to give us a call too if you want to chat about it. So that's your AirCheck Order Radon Kits page. You also have a place under More Tools where you can do a BuildFax manual search. So maybe you don't have a document yet, so you can't just click the BuildFax button on the main page. You can come here if you know that you're going to have an appointment and you're just curious at some point what's going on. Type in an address. As long as it's something that's got a courthouse that has electronic records, you should get some information back. Check for availability. It'll give you a little preview So this is actually our office. You can see that we've had lots of permits, lots of contractors. We've spent lots of money on making this building worthy of our employees and our business. Um, if you wanted to buy the full report, you'd have a little option right down here. They're $5 a piece. The preview, however, is always free. So that's your build fax manual search. You also have a link in your handout on that if you're more interested in getting some more detailed information. There is a link here called credit card processing. This link tells you everything you need to know about setting up credit card processing through HomeGauge. I will give you the short answer, which is we don't charge anything to do this for you, but you do need an account with a traditional merchant service provider and a payments gateway. HomeGauge uses authorized.net. It's a pretty well-known, popular payments gateway. It should be accepted for any of the merchant services accounts in the country, really. But you do need, obviously, a merchant services account and a payments gateway. Those two things need to play well together. Once you have that information, you can get a hold of us and we'll link that up to your dashboard. Again, no extra charge, but if you're interested in doing something like that, this is how you get started. Come to More Tools, Credit Card Processing. We'll lay everything out for you. And you can get started on that process. Okay. Also under More Tools, there's a referral program link. For those of you that do not know, if you're ever speaking with a fellow home inspector and you mention to them that they should try HomeGauge, maybe they're looking for software, grab their business card, make sure you have some kind of information about who you said that to. If you come to this link under More Tools, Referral Program, and you put in their name, their phone number is required, and their email address, right? I will be the one actually that gives them a call or sends them an email and tries to get them to try the trial. If they do end up purchasing HomeGauge, we'll send you $100. There are some caveats to that. If they're signing up on an easy pay, they have to fully pay off the thing before we send out a referral bonus for you. If they're on a subscription, they have to stay on that subscription for 3 months. Stuff like that. It's all written into this this fun little write-up here. So I'd encourage you, if you didn't already know about it, to come check out our referral program. We will contact whoever you refer. I will definitely make myself available and see what I can do for them. So hopefully they really did have an interest in report software. But yeah, definitely worth typing in a name and an email and a phone number. We'll send you $100 if it works out. So it's a nice little program. We also have a resources link under More Tools. If you click resources, you'll see lots of stuff. We've got HomeGauge logos. Some inspectors like to advertise that they use HomeGauge. It's a pretty well-known program. Some realtors prefer it for things like the create repair request list and just the ease of use that you get with our reports. There's a report login form that you can add to your website. Again, if you are going through HomeGauge to create your website, we're going to do all that stuff for you. If you're managing it on your own, this is definitely information you need to know how to get to. So resources, and then here's our login form. You can have a testimonials widget for your website. That's that ratings widget that I just showed you. That link there is actually going to take you back to the same page we were just on. You can have a brochure on the create repair request list function for your realtors and your customers. Sometimes realtors aren't aware of it yet, and they are really liking it. So it's certainly a good way to market your business. Say, hey, this is a feature I offer. My competition is not offering. Here, have a brochure, right? You can also send a link. It's going to be a custom link for everybody when you're under resources. If you send this link to your realtors, they'll see this fun little page. It'll have your logo, your contact information up at the top. They can try a demo through this page. There's a little video for them. There's some text that they can just read, even little facts, right? So it's a good little marketing tool. They're under resources. There's also a We Use HomeGauge brochure, some other little stuff that you can kind of look at in your resources area. So if you're ever in need of something kind of like that along those lines, that's definitely the first place to look. Other links under More Tools. You have news alerts here. For those of you that don't know about it, every month or so we send out a HomeGauge news alert where we tell you what's been going on in our company, what kind of updates we've got. if we've got a sale coming up, all kinds of fun information. You can look at all of our news alerts throughout the years if you use the news alerts link. So that's all that is. There's also a place to subscribe if you're not getting the news alerts and you'd like to. Type in your email here at the top right, hit subscribe, and we'll start sending them to you. And then visit HomeGauge.com. Just really takes you back to the face of the website. So that's more tools. I'm going to take a brief pause and let's see if we have any questions about what we've been through. And then we'll keep going from there. Okay? So we do have a question from Larry M. Larry says, will the HD credit card processing work if we have a Square account? Larry, at this time, you do have to have a traditional merchant services account, so a Square account would not work, and also a payments gateway. That being said, if you're using Square, you can still manually mark items as paid, still require payment before documents can be viewed. I believe Susie's got a link for you she's going to send over. So not at this time for Square. You do have to have a traditional account. But definitely a good question. Thanks, Larry. Okay, guys, I don't see any other questions for right now, so let's just keep on going. We've got a few little areas that I still want to show you before we conclude our webinar. Don't worry, we'll have an extended question and answer period at the very end of the webinar. You can ask me anything you want at that point related to the webinar or not. We'll make sure we get your questions answered. But for now, let's just keep going. The next thing that I'm going to draw your attention to in the main menu of your HomeGauge dashboard is the profile link. When you click on profile, you'll get a sub-menu opening up. The reason you might want a profile, several really, but the big one is HomeGauge has really, really good search engine optimization. Really good. So that means that sometimes people will type in home inspector and their area, and HomeGauge comes up at the top of the list, right, in a search engine. So because we get a lot of folks looking for a home inspector coming to our site, we've created for you guys a home inspector search function. They can put in their area and see all of the inspectors that use HomeGauge in that area. It'll just get a little list up. So what you want to do is you want to turn that on, first of all. If you click Profile Contact Info, you want to make sure all of the information is correct, certainly. But at the very bottom of the page, there's a little checkbox. And it won't be checked when you first come in. You need to check it off to show profile and search results. I'm actually going to turn mine off. I don't want anybody to try to book an inspection with me. But I want you guys to turn it on. If you're curious about what your profile looks like, there's a View My Company Profile link at the very top of this page. It's also scattered throughout other pages. So you can see what we've got for you now, right? A lot of inspectors don't ever think about coming in here and personalizing their profile and making it stand out, right? If you have folks coming in and they're seeing a list of available inspectors in their area, the one with the most information that's the most put together is probably who they're going to call, right? So I'd encourage you to go through here, take a few minutes, fill in your logo and your contact information and your qualifications and just get all of that together. It's a set it and forget it kind of thing. Unless you have something change, you really don't have to come back and look at it all the time. It's definitely good to set it up, right? You have a link for a company logo. To put your logo in, you're just going to choose the file. There are some restrictions. You certainly do want your logo to be in a JPEG or a GIF format, right? You want it to be under 2 megabytes in size. There's not a whole lot of room for things like that in your dashboard, but we do give you some. So once you choose your file, you're just going to use this little crop tool to show us what you actually want to display. Hit your save changes, and now your logo is on your dashboard. This shows up in lots of places. If you've got a merge field in under your report notification area, it'll show up there. If you have a customer that's viewing the report, it's going to show up at the top left corner of the report. So here's view document. Now my logo is showing up here because I just added it, right? It'll also show up on your customer's dashboard on the right-hand side before they even view the documents, in the same area that they might want to provide a rating for you. So lots of different reasons to put a logo on here for sure. You can also have an inspector photo. It works the same way as the logo. So you just throw your photo in, you'll crop it and save your changes, and then you'll have an inspector photo. Lots of guys look at me like I'm crazy, when it comes to inspector photos, because they don't want to put their picture out there. But I will tell you guys, as a woman in this world that's also in the country, I want to know who's coming to my house. And if I don't know who's coming to my house and it's some strange man and I wasn't expecting it, you're in danger, right? So if you put your photo in there, then you're setting some people's mind at ease that maybe weren't as aware that they were going to have an inspector at their house as they should have been. It's up to you, but I'm definitely a big fan of throwing in a photo. Once you get it in there, just the same way as your logo shows up, it'll show up on that right-hand side of the dashboard for your customer. It'll show up here in the top right corner with your contact information. You can use it in time release messaging, maybe your email signatures. You can use it in your notifications. It's kind of up to you what you do with it, but that'll show up in lots of places. Depends on how you use it. So you can have a photo. There's even a spot for an additional picture. That's up to you. You can put in qualifications and descriptions. So if you have special qualifications, you want to list your state license, what your membership association is, things like that. You can do that here. You can put in some listing text. So this is a great opportunity to say, hey, this is why you should pick me, right? You definitely want to put in some of that. Social networks, if you want folks to be able to recommend you on Facebook or things like that when they're looking at their reports, you should fill these out. So you've got a Facebook page here. You can put your business Facebook in. There's a recommend, Google Plus, lots of different options, right? You definitely want to fill all that out. For those of you that don't have a business Facebook page, get one. It's free. These days, we research everything online before we purchase, even if our mom told us to use that person. We're looking you up, right? So have a presence online. If you don't have a website, get with us. You can call our web department at 828-254-2030. They'll put together an awesome website for you at a pretty reasonable price. They can help you to manage that website. They can help you with your social media if you need help in that area. But definitely do something, whether it's through us or if it's through someone else out there or you're doing it on your own. You want to have a presence online. It's more important than ever these days. So be aware of that. If you have any of these networks in place, definitely list them here. It'll help you. Certainly won't hurt you. Okay. The very last thing I'll show you on a profile is the Update Searchable Counties link. A lot of you are going to be in areas that maybe you're not just doing inspections inside your own county. Maybe you're also doing the surrounding counties. I have some guys that live on a state line, and they're inspecting in 2 different states. So it's up to you where you're inspecting, but if you want to show up in the inspector search for those areas, you need to add the counties. HomeGauge won't know without you telling it where you're willing to go, how far are you willing to drive. So to add your county, you're just going to go find your state. It'll pull up a list of all the counties. You can sit here and check off which ones you inspect in. So maybe I'm going to inspect Buncombe and probably Hendersonville, if that's my area that I'm willing to drive. So Once you pick out the counties, anyone searching for those inspectors in those areas will find you in the list as well. For anybody that's wondering, the inspector search results list is always random. We do not let anybody go first just because of what the last letter in their name is or anything like that. So just know that that rotates every 15 minutes. So we try to keep that as fair as possible. But if you inspected more than one county listed, you will be coming up in more searches that way, right? So that's your profile. Anybody that has questions about profile, getting an online presence, websites, feel free to call us. We're happy to speak with you. I'll move us right on into the very next submenu down, account settings. Under account settings, you have several options. Account contact info. This is different from your profile contact info. Your profile contact info is what your customers see. Your account contact info is what HomeGauge sees. So if we need to call you because your credit card declined because you had to get a new one and you forgot to call us, or maybe one of your customers has been calling us and they need to get a hold of you and they're having trouble finding your information, or they need something specific and they've talked to us about it, we'll reach out to you. If we don't have updated information, it's harder for us to get a hold of you. So account contact info is for HomeGauge. It's also where you can change your username and password for anyone interested in that. If you're still using that computer-generated password that we sent out to you when you first signed up, you might want to customize that there. You can update all of your company and personal information for HomeGauge right there under account settings. License and services is the next one down. This is where you can see, especially if you're a multi-inspector, this might be fun. You can see who's expiring and when, who you need to pay for. If it's just you, same idea. If you're getting a message saying that your services have expired and it's the weekend or after hours for some reason, you can come right here under license and services and you can make a payment and turn your services back on. That's totally easy to do. You can also check out any licenses that you have on file. So if maybe you had a computer go down and it's the middle of the night and you need to get your other computer up and running, you need to activate your license, but you don't remember what it is, come in here to account settings, licenses and services. Not only will we tell you what the license was, we'll even tell you how you registered it. Because when you're registering a license that's already been registered, it has to match. So that can be frustrating if you don't know what it used to say and you're already having a frustrating moment, so we tell you right there. So remember that in case you're ever having a bad day. That'll make it easier on you. You can manage your payment methods here. So if you want to change the credit card that we're using to pull out your monthly services payment or your monthly SEO primer payment or whatever you've got going on that's coming out automatically, you can change that here. You just delete the old card, add the new information, and then the next time we need to use your card, we're using the new one. HomeGauge Partners is a link that's pretty involved. That's the next one down under Manage Payment Methods. I'm not going to go into all of these partners. We've already kind of talked at least a little bit about BuildFax, maybe the AirCheck folks. But if you'll notice, you have a link under each name of each partner. So if you want to learn more about sending all of your information to Secure24, if you're going to be part of that partnership program, you can click here and get some more information, right? OneSource, here's ISN down at the bottom. That's how you enter access keys for them. So I'd invite you to just come to this HomeGauge Partners link and take a look at whatever you might be interested in, get a little more information. We're always available for questions on the support team. You can email us, call us, use our support center. Anyway, you want to get a hold of us, we're happy to answer questions about these guys. I'm not going to go into them specifically each one this time. But so that you know where they are and where you can get to the information, it's kind of handy to know. All right? Underneath HomeGauge Partners, then up next we have Company Options. Company Options lets you do a lot of things. If you're running a multi-inspector team, this is going to be somewhere that you need to know about, right? So here you can decide to notify your team leader every time a report is uploaded. So that means if you just got a new employee and you're not sure if he's doing things the way you want him to yet, you can get an email from us every time he uploads a report so you can go check it out, right? And you don't have to hound him about it. You know he's done it because we told you. Makes life a little bit easier on you and him, right? You can choose to use the team leader's report notifications and time release messaging emails. Nobody wants to set that up for every single employee, especially if you've got a whole bunch of employees. So you can just have everybody controlled by the one account, which is yours. You can have all email addresses come from a single company email address. So maybe you've got an office person that handles all the correspondence. So you want to send all of those notifications and make it look like they came from her or him instead of the inspector, so that the questions come to the office manager, right? So that's a good example of why you'd want to have one email address and everybody's sending from that. You can handle payment settings here. For those of you that are using the appointments feature on your dashboard, you'll notice that request payment is always auto-checked when you go to put your services in, but you have to manually hit require payment. Maybe if you don't have credit card processing set up, you can manage all of that stuff right here. If you do have credit card processing set up, you can allow anonymous payments. That means that the person doesn't have to log in before they pay you. A lot of folks like to have people log in first so that they can readily identify where the payment came from and what it's associated with. But sometimes you'll have a customer whose mom is going to pay, or whatever might be happening there that's not necessarily a HomeGauge user. You haven't set up anything for them because they're not related to your inspection otherwise. You can allow anonymous payments so that can be done. You can also send your team lead payment confirmation emails. So you want to know every time you get paid, this is how you tell us to tell you. Okay. Here's some more information on your create request list feature. If you guys wanted to turn that off or maybe just manage the emails, just click that link and it'll take you right in. You can also enable your Secure 24 here. You can do that under the partners page as well. So you have an edit report emails link here under account settings. I'm just going to quickly point out that you also have the same link under my reports. We'll give you 2 ways to get to it. I'm going to cover it here under account settings, but really either way is how you get here. Those emails that you send out that say, hey, your report's ready, log in and come look at it, you can modify those. And if you wanted to do that, you'd come to edit report emails. So you'd have a drop down at the very top. You can choose which notification you want to modify. So you have a different one for a real estate professional as opposed to a home buyer. There's a different message for the agreement request than there is for the report. Same for payments. So you can choose what you want to modify. Here's the name. Here's your subject line. You can change the text right in the text window. You can type right in there. You've got all your traditional icons for making things bold and highlighting areas and centering text and whatever you wanted to do there. Your link button, if you wanted to create a link, is this little globe that has the chain on it. You click on that, put your URL here, and then that would just make a link within the email. If you'll notice down at the bottom, you have several merge fields. These are replacement fields that you can use within the text of your notification message to pull information from elsewhere. So if you wanted to automatically fill in the property address or the username, or that you wanted to show your logo, you've got stuff like that down here that you can kind of use. So the idea is you would copy it and paste it right into the text, right into the body of the email message, right? Once you're done, hit Save Template. It's as easy as that, but you do need to know how to modify those if you don't already. So that's how you'd modify. The very last option is, again, another option that you have under My Reports. We're just going to cover it here under Account Settings. Upload email options. So a little mom talk here. The very first 2 sections on this page are not sections I want you guys to do anything with, really. You can, by default, give permissions for your customer, your real estate agent, as soon as you upload a report, right? Which in theory sounds great, but it's not. If you were to make a mistake with that report, you need to pull it back down. You've already given access. If they know that, if you've got a realtor that's used to having access as soon as you upload it without even getting the email, then they could be just waiting. and loading the page over and over, right? And then they're seeing your mistake. You didn't give yourself that extra 5 minutes to recognize that you've got something in there wrong, pull it down, and send up the right one. The second area on this page is actually a checkbox to allow you to send the report notification automatically. So not only at that point are you uploading a report and immediately giving access to everybody listed on it, but you're also immediately sending out an email that says it's ready. You're not giving yourselves any leeway there. No time to catch a mistake and recover if you're using these. So I am not a fan of checking any of this stuff off. Please don't give default permissions. Please don't automatically send emails. It'll seem great right up until it's not. And then you're probably going to have a little bit worse of a day, right? Because somebody's seeing something you're not ready for them to see. You want to give yourself that extra couple of minutes to recognize that maybe there's an issue, that you've sent up the wrong thing, that something is tied to something that shouldn't be, or whatever's going on. You want to give yourself the little bit of leeway to catch it and fix it before you send it out. So I'm not a big fan of doing that. You can. It's up to you. We try to give you guys as many choices as we can, and these are some of them. But I'm not a big fan of upload options as far as default permissions and sending notifications. What I am a big fan of is at the bottom of this page, event notification options. So lots of you get an email for every little thing that you do with HomeGauge. When you upload a report, you get an email. When somebody looks at it the first time, you get an email. When a third party looks at your report, you get an email. Some of these emails you want to get, some of them you don't. If you're a one-man band, you already know you uploaded the report. That was you hitting that button, right? Whereas if you're on a team and you're running a team, maybe you do want to know every time they upload a report because it's not you hitting the button. You can manage that stuff here. Just uncheck what you don't want to get and hit Save Notification Options. It will help you to not have as much email from HomeGauge in your inbox. It's important that you only get the stuff that you want, right? So that's how you manage that, just so you know that. Some other quick little things that I'm going to show you, and then we'll wrap up and have a question and answer period. You have some other links here on your main menu. Here's our store at the very bottom. Our store is just where you can go to check out all the different purchase options for HomeGauge. If you're on a trial, you probably do want to check that out, right? We've got software subscriptions and packages. You can just buy the software itself outright. We've got information on how to purchase a website through HomeGauge, the different services we offer there, lots of stuff. So I'd encourage you to check out the store if you're interested in any of that. You've got an Install HD5 link. For those of you that have ever had a crash, you're probably already aware of this, but if you have a computer go down and you need to get back up and running quickly, you can log into your HomeGauge dashboard, hit this Install HD5 link, restore your settings like we were talking about earlier, and then you're back to work. You're done. So that's how you would get to the software download, right? I saved the best for last. There's also a support link at the bottom of your main menu. When you click on support, you'll come to our brand new support center. You'll always see lots of fun articles at the very top that we kind of set up for you, the most frequently asked information, just stuff that we feel like you really need to know. You've got lots of sections down at the bottom and a fun little search here. Type in whatever you're looking for. Odds are we have an article on it. If you can't find the answer you're looking for, you can submit a ticket right up top. That comes in to us so that we can look at what your suggestion is, what your issue is, and get you some help. This is available to you guys all of the time. So our support center is a great resource. If you're working on your own, you don't like to call us, or maybe it's after hours or whatever's going on. Support center is a great way to find what you need. We've got lots of video walkthroughs in here, written walkthroughs, lots of ways for you to get the help that you might be looking for, okay? You're also always, of course, invited to give us a call on the support team. We've got a pretty big team now just to answer phone calls from you guys to help you out with any questions that you might have and provide some service. So the number to get to us is 828-254-2030. And I'll say that one more time. I get accused of saying the number too fast pretty quickly. Support team can be reached at 888-254-2030, and we're in office Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you need help after hours, your best bet is to come here to Support Center. You can almost always find the answer just by searching, but if you can't, go ahead and submit a ticket. We keep an eye on that, and we'll look out for you and make sure that we get you the right answers. Okay? So, this concludes the webinar, the recorded webinar portion at least of our intro to the HomeGauge dashboard. You guys stick around and we'll have a nice long question and answer period here in just a moment. But for anybody that's watching the recording, thanks very much for checking us out, and please feel free to give us a call if you have any questions.